I've always been a huge fan of post-apocalyptic novels. I started with the Tripod trilogy from John Christopher, which could easily be its own list on here. They're young adult, but they've got a lot of interesting themes, especially when it comes to being controlled by alien overlords and subverting them and stuff like that. And then I moved on to stuff like The Road from Cormac McCarthy, Oryx and Crake by Margaret Atwood, and of course The Stand by Stephen King. We're going to be talking about post-apocalyptic novels. You got to include that. And there's a ton out there. And today I've got 3 for you. And each one is very different. And they fall into the 3 books under 300. So we've got less than 300 pages-ish. One's 311 pages, but what's a couple pages among friends? And they have great audiobooks, except for the last one. But it's important enough that I put it on the list anyways. And I really hope you enjoy them. I'm going to give a little description about each one. So let's just get right into it. The first one is This Immortal by Roger Zelazny. I have a review for this one on my channel. It happens to be one of the highest viewed videos on my channel right now, which makes me really happy because this book deserves more recognition. As I say in my review, This Immortal tied with Dune for the 1966 Hugo Award for Best Novel. I mean, that's incredible. And This Immortal is fantastic. It's very science fiction, and it takes place after there's been a nuclear apocalypse and kind of aliens showed up and we're like, whoa, what are you doing? And things kind of get settled and you're following someone who may or may not be the oldest living human being in existence. And it's just a really interesting exploration of a world that's mostly been destroyed by nuclear weapons. And you're following this character who has a deep connection with the past, like the Earth that existed through all of his lifetimes. And it's just really interesting to see someone going through that. And you get all this weird stuff like hot spots from where nuclear bombs went off, and there's mutants. And like I said in my review, I think like Fallout and a lot of other stuff was heavily influenced by this. And so that one is very good. It's written by Roger Zelazny, so of course it's beautiful. It's won lots of awards. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. It's like a must read, and it's under 200 pages. Like, give it a chance. Audiobook's really good too. This is the one that's in my copy 311 pages, but as I said, what's a few pages among friends? It's A Canticle for Libowitz by Walter M. Miller Jr. This was published in 1959. This is like a really cool book club edition hardcover I have. It was a huge upgrade from the ratty paperback I owned before. And this book is about discovering everything that was lost from a nuclear war. It's these monks or Catholic priests or something like that. And it's like they're coming out of this bunker that's like their church, and they're slowly getting together these bits of technology. And you follow these little chunks as they develop more and more tech. And then at one point they'll go out into the world, and the world sucks. It's a dystopian future, and like you've got roving gangs of robbers and madmen and all sorts of stuff. This is another book that I think heavily influenced stuff like Fallout. It's very, very well written. I mean, 3 times it's been voted in the Locust Poll Awards as the best science fiction of all time. It's got this interesting underlying theme about history being cyclical. And so you have like a build up and then a fall, and then a build up and then a fall. And you kind of see that happen in this book. You see the after effects of an apocalyptic war, followed by these people slowly digging themselves back out of the dark ages. And at the end, who knows what's going to happen? It kind of leaves it open to you, but you kind of get the feeling that they've started to build back up only to fall again. And this thing, I mean, it's a cornerstone of science fiction of the 20th century. This is one of those things that is a very loud voice in the great conversation of science fiction and fantasy. I highly recommend it. But yeah, Canticle for Libowitz is really good, and you should definitely check it out. This last one has a special place in my heart, which is one of the reasons I included it on this list. It is Hyos Journey by Sterling E. Lanier. And this is a first edition by Chilton. I've talked about it before. I finally read it, and man, it is good. It's like 260 pages, 270 pages. You're gonna have to buy a copy from like eBay or Amazon or AB Books or Biblio, something like that. The hardcovers are a little pricey. The book club edition hardcovers are okay. The cheapest I've seen them was like $5.50 on eBay, and that includes shipping. So you can easily get a copy. It may not be the best copy, but it'll be a readable copy. And the reason I want to include this is, one, the historical significance of Sterling E. Lanier. He was the editor at Chilton and is the reason why Dune got published. So we have him to thank for that. And 2, this book is the foundation of so many different things in in Dungeons and Dragons and other tabletop RPGs. Like, it's on Appendix N. It's specifically listed as one to read, and there's a reason why. Like, psionics came from this, animal companions. Like, the main character is basically a ranger from like D&D, except this is a post-apocalyptic North America, and it takes place in Canada. And you have this awesome blending of discovering old tech from before the fall and these weird, creepy monsters thanks to the biological weapons and nuclear radiation and stuff. I mentioned psionics. Some of the people have the ability to communicate telepathically, and like the main character, Hyro, it's called Hyos Journey. It is the hero's journey, and it's just really good. And Hyro has an animal companion that's like this giant kind of enhanced moose. He rides him into battle. They can telepathically communicate. He guards Hyro while he sleeps. Really cool stuff. He's like a priest, but he's like a special operations priest that goes out to kill the enemies of his country and go find things and stuff like that. And it's just really interesting that the church changed from being just a religious organization into the government structure of this country he's in Canada. It takes place in Western Ontario, so it's really interesting. And he takes a journey down. I don't know what Sterling E. Lanier had against Gary, Indiana, but there's a city-state in this book called Niana, because this is like thousands of years in the future, so languages have changed. And it's where Gary, Indiana is, and it's the largest pit of scum and villainy in the Great Lake region because the lakes have all bled together, so it's just one giant inland freshwater sea. And I thought that was funny. He was an editor, and it really shows in this book because the writing is very tight, very easy to read, and it's just a really cool journey through a post-apocalyptic northern United States, southern Canada, and you just see all these weird, creepy monsters that are definitely the things you'd see in like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. I mean, like, seriously, most of the D&D DNA is in this book. It's fascinating. And yeah, all three of these, I just think they're great, quick, easy reads. I think they're a great exploration of post-apocalyptic fiction from the 50s and 60s. There's a lot of stuff from that time that I have heard is fantastic post-apocalyptic fiction, like Lee Brackett's The Long Tomorrow, Richard Matheson's I Am Legend, stuff like that. Those books are short, so I plan on reading those along with a handful of other stuff from then, like Alas Babylon and stuff like that. And I'll definitely come back with another trio of post-apocalyptic books I think are worth reading from that era. But let me know in the comments if you've read any of those other ones or you have any others that you would recommend from that era. I would love to check them out. Like I said at the beginning of the video, post-apocalyptic novels are some of my favorites. I hope that you give some of these a chance, and let me know if you do in the comments. And if you want to check out the review of this Immortal, it's on my channel. I'm going to link it in the description. And with that, I'll see you next time.